gonna flop. My mind's about to pop. But enough of that noise. Time for the B-roll, boys.
Hello and welcome to another ball farting episode of B-roll, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. My name's Harlan. With me, I've got the very grateful Wes.
That's me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And the appreciative Justin.
Oh, it's a Thanksgiving thing.
Oh, I didn't understand that at first.
It took me a second.
God, you guys are the worst.
Thanksgiving you,
And
too.
we're here to talk about Thankskilling 3 from 2011, I think.
2012.
Directed by who gives a shit? Like, the same guys from the first movie, and guys, honestly, I'm sorry.
Harlan,
I had no idea that this was gonna be this bad.
I wish you did. And can we just address the turkey in the room real quick? Get it?
Fuck
Turkey.
off.
Bitch. You said we were watching Thankskilling 3? Why wouldn't we watch Thankskilling 2?
Oh, you're wondering why we skipped from 1 to 3
Yeah,
in the franchise?
I'm wondering that.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad you asked.
What a mystery.
Huh.
Please let me explain.
Okay. Go for it.
So,
Mater.
Thankskilling 1 was a cult classic.
Agreed.
And
It was in the Smithsonian.
it did very well, like way better than they thought it would, okay?
Yeah.
And so
Way better.
they did a crowdfunding campaign so that they could start filming the sequel. And I don't know if this is always the plan, but the movie is Thankskilling 3 because the plot of Thankskilling 3 is that they're searching for Thankskilling 2, which opens up a whole
So meta and funny.
bunch of questions. Yeah, normally like you save stupid meta shit like that for like way later in the franchise when you're running out of ideas, but clearly they ran out of ideas pretty fast because they went straight to that well.
How many Friday the 13th movies did it take for them to go to space?
I think that was 10. Jason X.
Yep. It was 10.
Was that
Exactly.
the 10th,
Well-
or is it just called Jason X?
No, that's the
That
10th.
was the 10th. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you believe
Leprechaun
that's the
4.
only one I've seen?
Leprechaun 4 went to space. He got there pretty quick.
Good for him.
Well, this skips 2 and then goes to 3 and also space.
Yeah.
Kind of.
For like
the
2
first
seconds.
little bit where you see titties and then
Yeah. So in a great homage to the first movie, Wanda Lux
Homage.
reprises her role as boob supplier. And yeah, it's just black straight to boob in space, and then like the turkey is like I think he's like a bounty hunter or something. He's like flying in space, and then like a guy comes up and he's like, your next target is blah blah blah. He's like, you got it, Captain. And then they're kind of like never in space again for the rest of the movie. And from what I understand, like I wasn't paying attention to this movie when it was being made, but it seemed like being in space was like supposed to be like a big part of this movie. But it like almost none of it takes place in space.
I'm gonna be real with you. I do not understand a single element of the plot of this movie. I couldn't tell you one event that goes into the next.
I'm glad you brought
really
that up.
Trying.
We I should back up a little bit, yeah, because I'm talking about
I
the
have
movie
no
itself.
fucking clue what just happened.
Yeah, we should give this more of like a high level overview and just say that this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
I think this is up there with. We were having the legitimate discussion of whether this is worse than Cats, and at this point, I think this is worse than Cats.
Yeah, we were only like 5 minutes in the movie when I was like, "Is this worse than Jack and Jill?" and then
Oh, it got way worse than that. my
Jumping
friend.
down the ladder pretty hard already.
yeah,
Yeah, this is incomprehensible.
it really is. Like it's like Neil Breen levels of incomprehensible.
I think I understood Neil Breen more than I understood this. I couldn't understand a single fucking thing. Maybe it was just because I was bored. I was really trying,
yeah, no, me too.
and I have no fucking clue what happened. I couldn't tell you any two events in sequence together.
Well, even if you could explain it, it wouldn't make sense anyway.
And we were looking at plot summaries just to see if we could have like any sort of overview.
There aren't any, by the way.
Well, we found like one badly written
It's
one
a
on IMDb.
synopsis that we found. It's like a synopsis of the plot. It's not like a beat for beat summary of what happens, because I don't think anyone on Earth could tell you what happens in this movie.
You couldn't find the novelization?
No.
Couldn't find the manga.
I don't know. I think they got too big for their britches there.
They totally did.
I was on board with Thankskilling from day one back in the day. I was on their Facebook group. Yes. I was on the Facebook group. I was hyping them. The guys that made it were like active in there all the time. It was really fun. And they got the crowdfunding for the second one. And I don't remember exact numbers, but I know they were shooting for like, I think it was like 10 grand or something.
That sounds about right, yeah.
And then the Kickstarter like blew up and they got like closer to 110, 120, I think.
Yeah, it was like over 100,000.
And I guess they just felt the need to just go all out in the worst possible ways for some reason. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like you can buy better props and you can spend more money on sets and everything, but you can't throw money at your writing to make it better. Like if your writers suck, your writers just suck, and that is what it is. You know? And I think that's the biggest problem with this movie is the writing. Like this is an hour and 39 minutes, and we didn't laugh at a single fucking joke in this.
Nope, we have a joke counter.
We laughed at 3.
There was 3 jokes.
Oh.
And some of I don't even remember what they were.
They just kind of came out of nowhere, and you're like, okay.
Yeah,
like a
never more than a little snort though.
Yeah, like, it was not
snort.
even. It was not like a real laugh. It was like I went.
Yeah.
Like 3 times throughout the entire thing. We had to take a break through this hour and 40-minute movie, and we watched like smut videos.
You know,
boy, did we.
It's funny you should say that. We watched this on Vudu with ads because fuck paying $2.99 to rent it.
I want to take money away from the creators for this.
They owe us
we were
$2.99.
like 30 minutes into the movie, and an ad came on, and it said ad 1 of 1, and Wes said, oh, "There's only one ad," and I was like, "That's the first time I've ever heard that sentence." But like we're in complete agreement there.
Yep.
Okay.
Ball farts was more entertaining.
Yeah. So we took a break.
Let's go ahead and air this.
So we were very thankful for every ad break we could take. We gotta take advantage of it.
I could go throw up in the corner.
But yeah, at the 47-minute mark, Justin screamed into his jacket.
Very loudly.
At the 52-minute mark, we took a break to pull up a video of a guy farting his balls out of his ass.
That's talent. That's raw.
That your wife pulled up.
No, yeah. My wife has enlightened all of us tonight.
She's woke. And then we watched cake farts.
Because ball farts inevitably brings up cake
farts.
Yeah,
it's like second or third
so
base.
ball farts could run.
Yeah, it's like it's evolution.
Yeah. And
really impressed by the elasticity of that guy's balls.
It must have been like a sauna in that room.
Right?
This is just a ball farts review.
Those were some long balls.
I'd rather talk for 45 minutes about ball farts than about things.
Dude, I mean, it looked like when you like play with Play-Doh for too long, and so it loses its like viscosity. You know?
He had like already gotten him in there though. Like he put his balls in his ass, turned the camera on, and then he like turned around so they could pop out.
Like just existing must be so annoying for him. They just like fall out of his shorts, or like every toilet he sits on, he's just like apple bobbing in the water.
I love the term apple bob.
That's great. Okay, is that good? All right? Let's move back. Let's move it back to Thankskilling. Okay, this is what the people are here for. The masses. At one point, I was like, because I was getting pissed off the whole time we were watching this movie. Like every like minute, I would sigh in frustration. And I was like, we have like 3 people that listen to this show regularly. Like, is it worth it for us to sit through this for them? So, listeners, I hope you're happy.
Hey, we usually hit double digits.
Great. We love you, listeners. But yeah, like if it wasn't obvious already, like I can't recommend this movie. Like Thankskilling 1 is great. It's a really funny movie.
Unironically, at least as far as an entertainment.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I love it.
But like this movie, it has nothing. Nothing good about it. Like
there's not a single redeeming quality I could even think.
Oh,
we're gonna get there.
Like
we're gonna be here all night if we have to.
Oh yeah.
Like I guess the first thing that we notice is that most of this is puppets.
That's
like Muppet level.
That's the weirdest thing about this movie to me.
They spent all their money on these fucking annoying ass puppets.
It's like they thought that what people liked about the first movie was the turkey puppet, and so they went all in on the puppets.
But it was funny because he was the only one.
Yeah, because this movie
sticks out that much more. This looks like fucking Sesame Street.
Yeah, that too. It's like fucking Labyrinth or Sesame Street or
this is like the porn parody of Fraggle Rock.
and it's just
Sesame Street written by someone who thinks Family Guy is funny.
It's just. Yeah, like, did they think that what we liked about the first movie was the puppet? Because yeah, they went all in on the puppets, and, like, there's puppets in every fucking scene, whereas, like you said, the turkey was the only one in the first movie, and, like, part of the joke was how, like, crude he was, whereas, like, they actually, like, put effort into the puppets in this, and so that kind of just takes away from the charm. It's like, oh, you're actually trying to be good now? Well, now you're just doing it, mediocre.
And like I think the best thing, I mean, aside from the turkey about the first one, was the actors. Like they pulled off that corny dialogue in like such a parody type way.
They rode the fine line.
Yeah. They played their shitty job well.
And the thing is, like, even there's like one character is an old lady, and she's a puppet. And she's supposed to be, like, really gross looking, and then, like, the whole joke with her is that she raps, and she's a whore. Do you guys remember in early 2010s when rapping grandma was a funny internet thing? Haha.
Yeah, now we have the grind mother.
Yeah. So anyway, so this character, she's an old woman, and I just couldn't help but think that, like, okay, so this movie, like, they made this old woman a puppet. You know what the first movie would have done? They would have just, like, took a dude and put a shitty wig on him and then just had him do an old lady voice. That's 100% what the first movie would have done.
Exactly.
Just like the sheriff, they just gave him like that shitty mustache and that like Walmart sheriff costume. Like this, they like went all out and made like a really like, it feels weird to say it's a detailed puppet. Like that sounds like a compliment, but it's not.
It just looks like something that's like intended to be gross, but it still looks really cheap and shitty.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a couple like puppet type characters, and all of them are kind of one note, or they all have like one shtick about them. And I just don't find any of them in the like slightest bit funny, as to the point like I don't know how you can find this funny. Every single joke falls flat. Every single one is either so stupid or it just doesn't make any sense. And I couldn't get anything out of this. I don't have a good thing.
On that note, so like I was saying, it's like, on one hand, they think that what we liked about the first movie was the puppets. They also, this movie, so the first movie had one-liners, right, that were like really stupid and cheesy. Mm-hmm. That was great. This movie thinks that what you liked in the first one was dad jokes, because this movie is full of stupid like puns, but there's like a fine line between like stupid cheesy one-liners and a dad joke pun.
Especially when after every single time they do it, they explain it.
They explain it. Every fucking one, they explain the joke. They like almost look at the camera and they're just like, see? Like, you understand? Like,
see, this is funny. See why this is funny?
In the way that you guys said it feels like the writers were kind of like too big for their britches at this point. It kind of reminds me of that episode of SpongeBob where he's ripping his pants every 5 seconds, and at first everybody finds it funny, but eventually it's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
That's totally the entire experience of this, of like whatever things that you could find funny about the first movie, it's hoard out to such an extent in this one that none of it's funny.
Yeah.
From the start to the finish, not a single bit of it lands. The most that you're going to get is you might get like a chuckle.
And I also want to emphasize that this movie is an hour and 39 minutes. If I remember correctly, the first one is like barely an hour long.
I think the first one's like an hour and 10 or something like that.
It's barely an hour.
But that one didn't really even drag on though. I mean, I know it was short, but like it kept moving.
It was brisk.
But this one, holy shit.
Brisk.
He had a nice brisk pace. But this one, it just kept losing us over and over again. We were begging for commercial breaks.
I zoned out
asleep.
I zoned out so many times. Like y'all were saying, I was really trying to pay attention to this movie. Like there were times where you guys were like talking about something, and I was like tuning you out and like reading the subtitles and trying so hard to pay attention. And I'd like be trying to like absorb the lore or whatever, and then I'd
You're
realize
looking at the mise en scène of every scene.
and then I'd realize later that my mind had wandered and I had like just zoned out for the past 3 minutes, and I was like, I have no idea what just happened. And this movie just does that to you. Like I really think that the reason that there is no plot summary for this movie that I could find on the internet is that no one knows what this movie is about.
It's one of the most painfully unfunny things I've ever seen.
That's
trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This might be the worst thing I've ever seen.
There's only one movie.
I think this is actually the worst thing.
There's
I've ever
one movie I hate more than this one.
What's that?
Rubber.
Never seen it.
We'll have to do it for the
You
show.
know, can I just say
I know
that,
we've talked about Rubber
Can I just
before.
say that Wes has exhibited gross negligence in failing to warn us about just how bad this movie. You
War
told me,
criminal.
You told me it was bad. Like okay, like go back a year ago and listen to our Thankskilling episode, and he was like, "Oh, it's bad," but you didn't say it was this bad. You didn't say it was going to be the worst thing on that we'd watched for the show.
I
rather watch the
told you guys
election
how much of
coverage
a
again.
disappointment it was. Like, I told you guys it was nothing like the first one, and it's horrible.
I don't know. I just didn't believe you that it was I just didn't understand the extent of it.
I understand when
It's
the
'cause
first one's that good, right? You think
It's hard to imagine such a steep drop in quality. Like,
but that's like a 100% just vertical drop.
What be that we hyperbolize things so much and we'll be like, oh man, this is fucking terrible. But then we just keep upping the ante of like, no, now this is the worst thing. Now this is the worst thing.
got that Dragon Ball power scaling problem.
Yeah. Like, remember when Battlefield Earth was the worst thing that we've seen? That looks like a fucking
were
glass
so
of water in
innocent.
a desert at this point.
We're gonna have to actively try super hard to pick a movie worse than this one.
It's funny, like we were watching it and like we were like, is this worse than Cats? And I think this is worse than Cats. And I was so sure for the longest time that would be the worst thing we'd watch for the show. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still going to be an event when we watch it, you know? That's going to be one for the history books. But
according to everyone I've talked to about it, like, you have to be inebriated in some capacity to watch it.
Want to watch it sober.
I
don't
never
drink.
watch that bullshit sober.
I don't partake in any sins, so unfortunately I will be watching it sober.
But
It'll be enjoyable for me to have you guys around though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we should make a night of it.
Because when me and Justin watched Cats, we were in a theater, so we couldn't go too apeshit. You know,
Yeah.
there were other people there, so we had to kind of keep it in check.
I paid money for Cats. Like,
But anyway,
we saw
Harlan
that-
owns it on Blu-ray.
We saw that like prime time too. It was like a 7 p.m. showing.
Oh, you
for
said
Cats.
you paid full price, huh?
Yeah, I probably paid like $15 to see Cats.
Fuck.
okay, so Thankskilling, right? This movie's also like, again, like it's got a lot of dated humor. Like again, like the rapping grandma thing. There's even a music video after the credits
That's so quirky.
where she just raps about like what a whore she is. Haha. And she wears those like sunglasses, those Kanye glasses
shutter-
that
the
have
shutter
the shutter.
shades.
Yeah, that's.
Oh man, that was really big then.
And how much dubstep is there in this movie?
Too much.
There are so many dubstep montages.
It came out in 2011. That was the prime birthing period for dubstep.
Yeah, like they were riding that fucking gravy train, if you will.
It's funny that last week we were talking about how Jennifer's body aged really shittily because that's kind of like a time capsule to the late 2000s and how stupid it is. And this is like, I don't know, the methed out corpse of that
Yeah, it's way
from
worse.
like 2 or 3 years later.
I was really disappointed to follow up a really good one like Jennifer's body with this.
Within like 3 minutes, we were like, "Oh God, we're barely gonna have shit to say."
I think the weirdest thing is just how quickly I knew I hated this movie. Like we were like just like 2 minutes in, and I was like, I hate this. I hate this.
I was like, "We're really gonna have to look at these fucking Muppets the entire time."
Like normally I don't write off a movie that fast, but I was like, I actually fucking hate this. And I was worried about recording this episode because I was like, it's so hard to articulate what's bad about this. Like, but like it's hard to describe the writing and like what it is that makes it bad. It's just simply not funny.
It's that it's trying too hard.
Yeah.
It's like they realized that they had a hit with their original one, and they tried to boil it down to what made that original great, and so they tried to over-exemplify every quality that they thought made the first movie good, and that made this movie shit. Mm-hmm. So like you said, the puppet was kind of the butt of the joke in the first one. Oh, well, now we're going to have like 5. But none of them are going to be funny. The turkey is going to be the same. It kind of comes off as like a 10-year-old writes it. Because it's always like, get chainsawed, bitch.
Yeah,
And
like
I could
there's no
see
like,
like an unfunny asshole thinking that that's funny, but
just because he said bitch.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This
Okay, so now we're gonna try to talk about the actual plot itself.
This is gonna be fun.
I have literally
Okay,
nothing.
so it starts like, because
It starts in space with
it
the
starts
turkey.
in space, like I talked about. Like he's like he. They're like, here's your next target, and then they explain
Shut it
like,
right out when you know.
and then they explain like, oh, so Thankskilling 2 was made, but never released because it was deemed the worst movie ever, and so like they destroyed all copies except for one. There's like one in a dumpster somewhere,
And it's cursed.
and right off the bat, like that confused me because I'm like, wait, what is the setting for this movie? Because like, is it the future? Like,
I don't know. What was with the two dudes in like the colonial wigs?
yeah,
They were trying to open Thanksgiving Land.
They wore it like the whole time.
Yeah, they're really into it.
One of the guys dies and goes to heaven, and he's wearing this fucking George Washington wig in heaven.
That was his true self. That was his shadow self.
That was his persona.
Oh god. Yeah, so these guys want to open Thanksgiving Land for some reason, and they repeat that joke where they're like, "Why do you wear that wig?" And they're like, "It's a sign back in the day of someone with power." And they
Harlan's
just like
pushing his glasses up as a point of emphasis.
yes, thank you.
Okay, in the original movie, they established that he comes back every
500 years.
500 years or so. So you would assume that this would be 500 years in the future from the first one.
I don't know. It looks like right now.
Exactly. Yeah,
Because it starts in space for 10 seconds.
It takes place
then
in
it
like
goes,
a guy's house.
Then
Then
it
it
just goes
shows,
to Earth. Yeah,
it shows Turkey having like a family.
yeah. He's
It was like a
there's,
sitcom for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it turns into like a sitcom parody, and he's got like I think a wife, and he's got like a little turkey son, and
He chainsaws his turkey wife's face in half.
That effect actually looked cool. Well,
no, it didn't.
well, it didn't look.
Not really.
Well,
It looks like shit.
okay. Out of everything in the movie, splitting their head down and then the brains and stuff falling out, those.
It looks
I'm
like
grasping at straws here.
It looks like sock puppets.
I'm trying.
God.
Okay, and he like, yeah, so he murders his wife, and then he like somehow imbues the copy of Thankskilling 2 with the soul of his son. I think that's what happened. And so then there's a girl named Yomi. She's a little puppet, right? And she's like, I was trying to like pin what she looks like the whole movie. I was like trying to describe it, and then Justin was like, why does she have art hoe hair? And I was like, thank you, that's it. Yeah, she's got like art hoe hair, and because of that, like she looks like a Sesame Street, puppet, right? But like the thing about like Ernie is he wears clothes still, but this girl has like, like real human hair.
Hey, Ernie.
Hey, Bert.
Don't start.
Hey, Bert. You want to fuck my butt, Bert?
Hey, Bert.
Don't
Hey,
start.
Bert.
Tie me up, Bert.
Bert.
Spit in my mouth, Bert.
Massage my
So
prostate.
the thing about that is he would. I knew I should have picked a different character for Sesame Street. I knew I was just inviting that in. Okay, so the thing, like, he wears clothes, and Yomi has like realistic human hair, but she's just like naked, and so it makes her look like especially naked. Like when she first showed up, I thought they were gonna make a joke about how she's naked, but then she just is never clothed throughout the whole movie, and it just like, again, it begged the question. I was like, what is the setting of this compared to the first movie? Because like, is it in the future? Because like it feels like in the first 5 seconds it's supposed to be, but then as far as I can tell, the rest of the movie is just present day. And then okay, so what is if Thankskilling 2 is like a thing that exists, and they said that like the turkey filmed Thankskilling 2, it's like, does that mean that Thankskilling 1 was not real events? It was a movie in this movie's universe, like that's like, do you see how that's confusing?
Yeah. It's meta as fuck. Maybe it's too smart for us.
I think they were just trying to
Fuck
make
you.
a joke of it for the sake of making a joke without like going too deep
I know.
into it.
I'm thinking too deep into it, but
we're trying to like unpack all of this, and I really don't think that level of thought went into it, nor
No,
did they
I
intend
know.
for it to. It's just, like every single joke is bad. Every single plot point is stupid. Like, oh, the Yomi, was it?
Yeah,
The little Muppet thing. They just kept saying that she's looking for her mind. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means
There's no
either.
conceptualization of what that means at all.
Well, they like keep showing this puppet that looks like a uterus, like floating in front of her, and saying like, "Come find me, Yomi," and she says like, "I saw my mind," and like it's through there, and then they go through like a portal to Turkey Hell, and I'm like, wait, that was your like what? Like, yeah, they're saying she's looking for her mind, and the turkey like kills her at one point, and he's like, "Your mind is mine," and he just like saws off her arm, and then they're like,
Jamie Lannister moment.
They're like, he has her arm, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what? It's so genuinely confusing.
Stupid.
Like, I was really disappointed that there wasn't like a Wikipedia plot breakdown of this, because
There wasn't like a deep analysis.
I need help.
We didn't have like Cliff's notes to examine here.
You know what I would have actually liked to have seen?
What's that?
Anything else?
The actual concept of Thankskilling 2. If it was just the first movie with the space skin, like they upped the stakes of like basically where it was Leprechaun 4 going to space, I think that would have been fine. Just have the puppet again. I don't know. It would have been better than this bullshit. I want to see real Thankskilling 2. Yeah.
No, I don't want them to try again.
At this point, it's dead.
It's very very clear that like they had lightning in a bottle and it was not reproducible for them. Because
the first movie was an accident.
I want to stress that this is directed and written by the same people as the first movie.
Yeah.
So like there's no one to blame but themselves. And I think it had two of the same writers, and there was one guy who IMDb said that he wrote some dialogue in the first movie, but like I don't think that would make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
You know, like because there's clear like setup for jokes and heavy quotes on jokes in this movie, and yeah, like some dialogue tweaks aren't gonna fix that. I don't think it's not enough.
I mean, I wouldn't want to see it now, but back then that would have been
Just let it-
preferable to this bullshit.
Have you guys ever seen a sequel drop the ball so hard?
Matrix Reloaded.
That was not comparable to this, motherfucker.
Like,
Come on.
like fall off a cliff so hard after such a great first installment.
I mean, the Hobbit trilogy, Matrix Reloaded,
actually,
fucking
yeah.
Terminator 3.
No, but like as bad as this, like as steep a decline.
I guess not, but
Oh, Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
You guys are just popping off movies that I haven't seen, so I can't weigh in on that.
just popping off like sequels of movies that I liked that I didn't like.
Yeah. But nothing to this degree that I can think
Nothing,
of.
Yeah,
nothing like quite this shameless and horrible.
I think this is both the worst movie ever and the worst sequel ever. It's just
Yeah,
Definitely the worst
It's just
sequel
not
ever.
understanding your source material at all.
yeah. What was I gonna say?
Die Hard 5.
Huh? Die Hard 5.
Is that Live Free or Die Hard?
No, that's 4.
Die Hard with a Vengeance. Is it?
Isn't that 3?
I don't know.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is 3. It's Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Live Free or Die Hard, and A Good Day to Die Hard.
There you go.
Oh yeah, because Good Day to Die Hard, that had like Jai Courtney in it, I think. Yeah. And it was supposed to be really shitty. I saw Live Free or Die Hard in theaters, and I don't remember a single thing about it. But Die Hard 1 fucks, and I haven't seen the rest of them.
There's no reason to watch 4 again because it's PG-13. There's nothing to grab it.
All right, so Thankskilling 3.
Speaking of Die Hard, we're
We
gonna watch
said
that soon.
ahead of time that we were barely going to be even touching on this. I'm actually
come
surprised we've been able to go this long.
All right, let's keep going. All right, more about Thanksgiving Land.
Yeah, it just looks like messed out Six Flags.
I couldn't explain to you anything that happens in this movie. So like they go to Turkey Hell, and then they're gonna make like a Franken turkey.
Yeah, I don't know what the point
there's
of
like an
Turkey
old-
Hell is.
Nemesis from Resident Evil.
Oh, one thing I want to talk about is like there's a couple moments where they use they insert some new animation style. Like at the very beginning of the movie when you meet Yomi and she's like living in a dumpster, there's like a very crude like MS Paint like cat animation.
Oh yeah.
And he just shows up for that scene and then never again.
Pretty avant-garde.
And then at the very end of the movie, like, so there's this like elder turkey that I guess is a good guy, and he like fights with Turkey, you know, the evil turkey, and just for literally no reason. Like, I was paying attention. It literally happened for no reason other than like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? They fight and it's in like 16-bit graphics for no reason. They just have like an RPG fight in like SNES styles.
Yeah, it's like the third act, they didn't know what else to do to quote unquote try to make it funny, so they started like cutting off like Family Guy and just doing random shit.
Oh yeah, there's one point
like Kung Fury a little bit.
There's
like Kung Fury, but without anything that makes Kung Fury good.
Sure.
Of like the lol random jumping around kind of humor.
No, yeah, like you said about the Family Guy bit. Like, there's one point. Okay, so there's like this like, I think he's like a space cop or something. There's like a big robot dude. He looks like a mix between Doomslayer and Zoom from The Flash.
Yeah.
And he's got like a teeny little worm that rides around on his shoulder. That's got like a greasy little mustache.
Oh, yeah, that just constantly tries to like finger him.
Yeah, and at
Literally.
some point, like.
Tries to worm him.
At some point, it like at the conflict in the middle of the climax of the movie, it just cuts to that worm playing jazz on a saxophone, and he's just like, "Oh, we used to play jazz together back in the day." And then it just cuts back to the turkeys fighting. And
That was a 100% Family Guy joke.
like, it had nothing to do with anything.
And I noticed shit like that, the super lol random, didn't start happening till near the end. So like,
They were trying to like
yeah,
they were trying to hit like feature length movie time, you know, just like to be like, look at what we did, you know.
yeah.
We're gonna throw through a loop here. It's totally
And
different
just
from the way the movie so far.
And about that like video game part at the like, what really pissed me off about that is just to emphasize like how much it was for literally no reason. It literally cut between them in like, you know, like 16-bit graphics and the other characters in the same room at the same moment, and they were just live action. It just cut between them. It's like it creates such a disparity between them. It's such a disconnect. It's like they're in the same room at the same time. Why are these guys live action?
One of them's having a Super Nintendo parody.
Yeah, like what the fuck is the...
Just pick something and
Just
stick with
throwing
it.
shit at the wall to see, I guess, what would be a hit.
Like, and I don't need shit to make sense, you know, like I don't need like a realistic justification. I just need to know like why that happened. Like,
Yeah.
Because of course there's plenty of shit that like doesn't make sense in the first movie, like when the turkey pulls an entire shotgun out of his wing. It's like,
But at least that shit's funny. It's like Looney Tunes shit.
yeah, it's like cartoonish, but like that, like I just don't know why that happened. Like what, you know?
I'm already suspending my disbelief for this entire concept. So
Of
you have
course.
to like there has to be something to be able to latch onto, and if all of it is just so silly and random the entire time that like we just don't know what the fuck we're looking at.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what I was looking at after a while. I was falling asleep.
Yeah.
And me and Wes especially were just bullshitting for half of that time because that was what was keeping me awake. Of making movie references and angry video game nerd quotes.
Surprised we didn't start talking about Oblivion at all. Yo.
Don't start right now. God damn it.
I looked to see if it was on PSN earlier. It's only on PS Now.
Fucking bullshit.
Okay, so I think that's about all I got for Thankskilling 3.
I've wrung out the rag of my brain for...
Wes?
That's all I got. I
Three.
fucking hate this movie. It's a travesty. The first one's a masterpiece. Fuck this movie.
Okay,
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10.
legit.
Yes. If this isn't a 1, I don't know what is
I
a 1.
agree.
We've already established that 1 is the absolute lowest B-roll score, right?
I would give this a 0.1 if I could.
Yeah. 1 just because it's the lowest. If I could, I would do 0.
Harlan said at one point, he was like, 1 out of 10, at least they turned the camera on. I wish they didn't.
Oh, heyo.
Zing. Zimbabwe.
Get it?
Uzbeki.
Yeah, 1 out of 10.
I don't have a good thing.
I kind of do. Out of everything, the only thing I could think of is like the idea of the elder turkey in the swamp was kind of amusing. How he looked. That's all I got. That's the most backhanded bullshit I could possibly try to think of. Eller turkey was like a 0.1 out of 10. To the rest of it, 0. Ooh, he's racking his brain.
There
over
was
there.
a dad joke.
Harlan, do the noodle dance.
There was a dad joke that I wrote down. And if it was an original joke that they wrote for this movie themselves, then it was a decent joke, I guess.
What was it?
What did the worm say to the fish that played piano?
What's that?
I'm really hooked on your music.
Huh? Get it? Hooked?
Bitch!
Biatch! Biatch! God, I hate this.
It's really bad.
This was I feel contemptuous towards this
Come on,
movie.
Justin. Good thing. What do you got?
I don't even remember. There
Well,
were like
you left
two.
it- that's the
there were
thing,
like
you wrote down
two
3
things.
jokes?
There were 3 jokes that I like kind of snickered at. One of them was just like so fucking stupid that I was like, "Oh, you had this in the movie." I think it was like a commercial for. Did you marry your wife not just because she cooks, but because she can fuck? And I was like, "Oh." And just the absurdity of that made me laugh.
Well, because it just cut to the turkey on the couch watching it, then it just flips to that commercial and says that. And yet, I guess just the funniness of it comes just because it came out of nowhere. But that's it.
So that's
I
your
mean,
good thing?
this movie makes a Girls Gone Wild commercial look like Schindler's List. I hated it. 1 out of 10. It was fucking terrible, and I hope I never see it again.
Yeah.
I hope it gets fired into the sun.
I'm glad we watched it for the show because I'll never watch it again. I'll watch Thankskilling 1 again, probably a lot more time.
I could go for that. Like 100%. There's a 100% chance that I will watch Thankskilling 1 again. No.
There was a few years in a row where I was watching Thankskilling like every year for Thanksgiving just cause.
Yeah.
But I would still do that.
Yeah, of course.
But this? No.
Yeah.
I don't have any trivia for you.
There's nothing interesting about the production.
Nope.
I guess there was no scandals. That's good.
Yeah.
I saw that the first movie took 11 days to shoot, and I think it was like $3,000 budget if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that's right too.
This movie, again, they had like over 100K, and it took them 50 days to shoot this. Which, like, that sounds about right, because some of the sets are, again, this sounds like a compliment, it's not, but some of the sets are elaborate.
They're just really busy. There's a lot of shit in them.
Yeah,
but they don't
busy's
really,
a good word for it,
like,
yeah.
They don't really make that much sense.
Busy's a much better word, that sounds
Yeah.
less like a compliment.
Kind of like Turkey Hell. It's like they rented a warehouse for a day and just filled it with Halloween decorations. It's Turkey Hell.
Yeah.
So I guess shit like that.
Yeah.
All this stuff has to have substance. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so noisy in every way. Like, the dialogue, I think that's the best way I can describe this movie. It's noisy. Like, the dialogue, it's all just noise. It's in one ear, out the other. Like, the sets, they're noisy. They're just too busy. There's too much going on.
That's the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, it's just, it's like TV static, the movie, you know? Like, yeah, just bzzz for an hour and 40 minutes.
It like lulls you into this like contemptuous, hateful rage.
Yeah. Okay, so is that it for Thanksgiving
That's
3?
it
Yeah.
for Thanksgiving.
All right, good.
3.
Let's wash our hands and be grateful that we're done with it.
Never have to watch it again. That's a good feeling.
What are we watching next week?
Oh,
Wes.
what are we watching next week? Well, we need a bit of a palate cleanser. Something that really kicks ass. You know, we've been doing a lot of horror movies lately. We need a solid action movie. We're going to do 1993's Undefeatable with Cynthia Rothrock. You guys are looking at me like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
What? Okay. I don't understand what you said. What?
Undefeatable.
Like the movie's called Undefeatable?
The movie is called Undefeatable.
Right on.
It's from 1993. Cynthia
Good year.
Rothrock's in it.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
It's a really, really bad just kung fu movie.
Okay, cool.
All right. We'll see you guys next week for Undefeatable.
Undefeatable.
Thanks. We're thankful for you.
Happy Thankskilling.
Happy whatever.
Get
dude.
it? Get it? Thankskilling?
Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
Bitch. Get it? Do you get it? Isn't it so fucking funny?
You understand?
Not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes! That's it. What, we some kind of
B-roll boys.
I want you to lead me. Take me somewhere